Vandersloot gives it up. Parker to tie. You bet! Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs. Finds Rose. Rose trying to get open. Fires away. Bang! It's over. The Bulls win at the buzzer. DeRozan to win it! Goal! DeMar DeRozan delivers! Anderson hits it in the air to right. Back at the wall, and the White Sox win it! Big one-way field stumbling. Trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown! Who will receive it first after it is hoisted by the captain? Will it be the 40-year-old defenseman who has longed for this moment? Yes, sir. Walking right, Chicago!
What is going on, everybody? We are back in the building. This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to the All Sports, All Plays Network. Obviously, we are back with another edition of Mike on the Mic. It's been slow. It's been slow, baby. The Cubs are off to a 1-2 start, and we know we got someone on the show today that's probably very ecstatic about that, and I'm really excited to introduce him because we have an Illinois native, a dog, a viral sensation, putting Vanderbilt on notice. And as a Tennessee fan over here, it's always great to see Vanderbilt just get shit on. So it's amazing to introduce the man, the myth, the legend himself, Luke Smith from Champaign, Illinois. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me.
Man, this is like my dream come true. This is my dream come true. This is my favorite, automatically, not even trying to geek out on you. My favorite college baseball player I have ever seen play the game, obviously for specific reasons. It's so much fun watching you do your thing, man. And we've been working on this, man. I don't even know how long me and you have been trying to do this. Probably like 6 months, 7 months, something crazy.
It's been a minute. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we got to do it, though. I'm excited.
Without a doubt. And, I had to come prepared for it. I had to hit him with all the facts. But for people that don't know Luke Smith, obviously 6'3", must be nice. And 25 years old, doing his thing, going to Kentucky. There's so many different things we could talk about right now. There's so many different conversations coming from Vanderbilt, obviously, and with the Omaha stuff. But I want to start off with you. Because obviously we got an Illinois native in the house. He told me backstage, diehard Bears fan. We're going to get into some other stuff he told me too in a little bit. But breaking it down, everybody knows Champaign, obviously, alumni. We're going for our thing. The Fight in Eli, we're doing it. But break down to me what it's like growing up there. What is it like growing up in Champaign? What's that atmosphere really like? Because outside of going to the college a couple of times and making a couple of visits, I haven't really been able to explore the entirety of it. So what was your childhood like for you, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, man, Champaign's dope. It's a cool college town. It's not as big as Chicago and the city life, but you kind of get a good mix. And you can tell, like in the summers when the students go home, that Champaign's a little dry and traffic isn't as bad. But man, like the football team's actually decent again. Basketball's been good now for a couple of years. Had Io and Kofi in town, turned the team back around. But man, I went to Centennial High School. Had a great group of friends that I ran around with. Have a great family. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, or three younger siblings. So had them to run around with, and came to all my games, and I went to theirs and stuff. So we had a busy household, that's for sure. But yeah, man, Champaign's good. You kind of get the mix of both. You get the big time tailgates and basketball games and stuff like that, but you can also just chill out and don't have to do too much.
For sure. And I kind of like that kind of atmosphere. I like it when when the highs are high, it's amazing,
Yep.
and when the lows are low, I mean, it's also still a vibe because you don't want to sit in traffic every day. You don't want to hear party music every single day. I mean, I'm in Chicago. I'm on the Northwest side, and every single night somebody wakes me up somewhere. I don't know whether we're talking about gunshots or songs blasting, parties. Someone just blast their horn or their car alarm goes off in the morning. It's frustrating. So to go from having both at the drop of a hat. I mean, it's really cool experience. But I want to get into something that you said, and I know as an athlete, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. 4 siblings in total.
Mm-hmm.
Best athlete in the family, whether that's mom, dad, or one of your siblings. Luke, be honest with me. Who's the best athlete in the family?
That's tough, man. I have a younger brother so I'm the oldest. I have my sister Olivia. She's the second. My brother Walker's the third, and my sister Marissa is the fourth. Olivia was like a rock star gymnast, cheerleader, could do all the backflips and the cartwheels and all that stuff. My brother Walker, he's a pitcher, and actually he's a two-way now. He plays at Illinois College in Jacksonville. So shout out to the Blue Boys at Illinois College. He's the freak athlete, dude. Runs around like when he was younger. I remember, at all of my games, everybody be looking for Walker, and he'd be sitting on the field goal post at the football field next to us. He'd be climbing the goal post at the soccer fields and stuff. So he's we called him a monkey growing up, man. He was all over the place. And then my sister Marissa is committed to play collegiate soccer Division I at UMass Lowell. So we got, it ran in the family. Everybody was running around doing their own thing. But man, it's tough because Liv could do all the, like I said, the backflips and the handstands
Right.
and that stuff. But Walker's quick. Walker. I'd say it's a tie between Liv and Walker. I'll give him that.
So, and no disrespect to Liv, but I heard he's a two-way over here. So I got to focus on Walker really quick.
Yeah.
Are we talking like Shohei type vibes over here?
He's the guy, like, he ain't hitting bombs like Shohei.
Right.
He did hit his first collegiate at bat. He hit a home run, so that's actually pretty sweet. He'll have that for the rest of his life. But
That's sick.
like I said, he's quick, man. He gets on first, he steals second, steals third in 2 pitches. Like, that's just what he does. He's quick
Right.
and really good intuition for the game. Understands it well, and just it's a joy to watch, man, because he gets to do what he loves. And he went to Lakeland College as a freshman and was just a pitcher. And you could tell he kind of missed the offensive side of things. So got to go to Illinois College and do a little bit of both. And he's enjoying it a lot more, I think.
For sure. And mom and dad, are they athletic in any way, or is that just like a freak thing that happened with you guys?
They are. My dad ran track in high school. Mom played volleyball, did a little bit of everything. But the biggest thing with them, man, they were just supportive. Whatever we wanted to do when we were younger, they put us in it. They took us everywhere, obviously, and just kind of let us kind of make our own paths. I feel like right now there's a lot of people that are just kind of forcing their kids to do stuff. And that's why the love of the game, I guess, can fall out of these kids when they're younger. If they're being forced to do it, sometimes it's not, obviously where they want to be. And I was fortunate to have 2 parents that just kind of said, hey, whatever you want to do, give it your all. And you're not going to quit. You're going to, finish it out. But, we're going to be there to support you in whatever it is you want to do.
I love that. And I think you hit that on the head too, is like, it's one of those conversations where, like me, I won, or I came in second. I can't say I won. I came in second in the state back in like 2013, 2014 for track and field. Okay. And I stopped my freshman year. After my freshman year, I stopped. And it was a conversation of, man, I'm bored, bro. I'm bored. Like you know how it is, those 8 a.m., 6 a.m. meets. You're there for 4 hours. You run for 2 minutes, maybe, and then you go home. And it's like, for me, I was like, I'd much rather play baseball. I'd steal my bags, do my thing. I'm happy in the outfield. I'm just living. So I feel like that's the conversation right there, where it's like, as long as you're doing something productive, I would have no problem with that. You know what I mean? But I want to break down something you touched on. You touched a little bit on high school ball, and you said you had a lot of great buddies over there. And I wanted to ask you, first and foremost, can Luke Smith rake in high school? Was he allowed to take BP?
So I hit as a freshman, and then my sophomore and junior year, I didn't hit. I was just a pitcher. But my senior year, they threw me back out there. I played first when I wasn't pitching. I hit 450, so I had like 130 at bats, so I could hit a little bit. But I went to Parkland College after high school, and my coach there is like, man, you can be really good at one thing, or you can be okay at both.
Right.
Like, man, my future is probably in pitching if of any of them. So that's when I kind of put the bat down and just focused on pitching.
But you can rake is what I'm hearing. So
I
I'll
did.
take it.
I could hit a little bit. Now I'm in slow pitch softball, so that's all I do. I just run around the outfield and I try
Dude,
to hit bombs.
isn't it like, hey, we can go on for hours talking about slow pitch softball. It literally, and I'm 22, so I know you're right up my alley with that. It's literally like you're Michael Jordan out there because you're playing against these 60-year-old guys, and they're like, I remember this one guy told me, he's like, you're the fastest guy I've ever seen in my life, and I go, I promise you, if you were 20 years younger, you wouldn't feel that way. Like, it's just
Boost your ego, that's for sure.
Dude, I was like, I felt like Jackie Robinson out there. I was like, I am him. I'm Trey Turner. I'm Mookie Betts. Like, I'm doing this. But really looking at it, man, I wanna ask, like, obviously your college stint was a little bit different than a lot of other people's. And when it comes to recruiters, what were those conversations like in high school? Did you have people coming to your games actively in high school, or was that really travel ball type conversations?
My biggest thing with travel ball, I guess recruiting in general. Like there's all these camps and recruiting, whatever you want to call them, showcases.
Right.
The way I looked at it was if someone's reaching out to me saying, "Hey, we want you to come to our camp," they already know who I am. At that point, they're just trying to take your money and let you go in and you get your numbers, and that doesn't really mean anything. Now some guys it does. Like, hey, if you're throwing 98 when you're a junior in high school,
right,
hey, you go ahead and go get your numbers because 98 is going to get you drafted. But if you're throwing, if you're 84, 86 like I was, it didn't do me any good. It was just hey, I'm going to go pay $200 to go find out information that I already know about myself. Why don't I just go work out or train and develop my body so that when the season comes around, I'm better prepared for it. I don't need someone to tell me something that I already know about myself and that I don't throw hard enough yet. But so my travel ball stuff, I just played with a group of buddies that we went to some local tournaments and went to St. Louis, Indianapolis, Chicago, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. But my recruitment mostly came out of high school. And it was a lot of just, junior college stuff, my junior and senior year. So I threw well, but again, I was 6'2" at the time, 130, 140 pounds. So I was skinny as hell and just really didn't have much, hadn't filled out yet. So no one knew what it was going to be, but went to Parkland and, John Goebel is my pitching coach there. I owe him everything that I do in my baseball career, man. He changed my life. We'll get to him in a little bit, but just a great dude and awesome experience there.
For sure. And, I think, one of my biggest things that I love that you said it was the honesty. I think a lot of people try to save face and try to not, they try to dance around it, to be completely honest. And I never really felt that way, especially like for me growing up in the city. Like you can't afford a showcase, man. And I can't afford to drive to the showcase, because it's never, hey man, it's just a few blocks, couple miles up the road. It's always in bumblefuck wherever. And we're like, it's just pointless. And you got a bunch of old guys who probably don't even do much with radar guns that probably don't even work. I've always seen the meme. You ever see the picture of the radar gun and it just like has like a crazy number written on it, and you're just like, yeah, this guy's going pro. And you hit it on the head. It's just, if that's you and you're throwing 98, or you can hit bombs, 400 feet bombs in the 6th grade, by all means go for it. But there's so many different directions that you can go to get into not only the show, but just in the college in general. So before we get into college and everything else, I do want to keep touching on your story, because man, it's just so interesting how, you mentioned St. Louis, and I want to talk to you about the Bears. We're going to get into that. DJ Moore trading the number 1 pick, Justin Himothy Fields. I mean, we got to get into that. But the one thing that caught me off guard was the St. Louis Cardinals post on your Instagram. I saw the Arenado one today, and Arenado is my favorite baseball player.
Nice, dude. He's nice.
Dude, it hurt my heart, especially when I saw the trade. We don't disrespect guys over here unless it's warranted, but you got him for a bag of chips, and it pisses me off to this day. I would have traded KB in a second. And honestly, it would have worked out because they wanted KB anyway, so it would have been perfect. But talk to me about the St. Louis Cardinals. We talked a little bit about it backstage, but for people who don't know, I mean, you have a dope story about why you're a Cards fan and just everything that went into that.
Yeah, a lot of it just started with my family. My grandpa was a huge Cardinal fan, which led for my dad to be a Cardinal fan, and then my mom's side grew up Cardinal fans as well.
Mhm.
But Jim Edmonds was my favorite baseball player growing up. He was a center fielder for the Cardinals as I was kind of, I don't even know, like, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And he wore number 15. That's the number I wore because I wanted to be like Jimmy.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that we had Albert Pujols, who, in my opinion, is the greatest right-handed hitter of all time, strolling the face of the earth the same time I was. So I got to witness 10 of the greatest years, of a hitter's career that there ever will be. Um, but then, you got guys like Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, Lance Lynn. Dude, I love the way Lance Lynn pitches. Just a mean dude and challenges you with his fastball. Here it is. And when he
Mhm.
gets you out, he's going to let you hear about it.
Right.
And it's just there's a bunch of dudes that won, and it was cool winning 90 games every year, going to the playoffs.
That
But
must be nice. That
talk
must
about
be nice.
backstage, man. The Cubs got the bragging rights right now. They won the World Series in
Come on.
2016,
Come
and
on.
it was I'm not gonna lie to you. When they were playing the Indians, I was rooting for them. I thought it'd be cool. I got a bunch of buddies that are Cubs fans, and
Right.
it had been a minute, like
Mhm.
since they won one. So it was cool to see all of them, be happy about it. Even though I know damn well that when the Cardinals were in the World Series, they're not rooting for them for me, and I'm
I
not
mean,
asking. I know that's a lot to ask for. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to see, and just diehard Cardinal fan. And it just so happens that we got two of the best players in the game right now in Goldie and Arenado, and we just got to figure out what the hell this pitching staff's going to do this year.
100%, 100%. Jack is going to be so key to that. It was great seeing him on the mound the other day. But I want to break something down with you right now. I got two questions for you,
Yeah.
and one is very, very controversial right now. It's going to be a quick one. Goldie or Arenado, who deserved the MVP last season?
I think Goldie deserved it because of the success just from beginning to end. And I know, the last month he kind of fell off a little bit, but when you fall off and you're still hitting 317 with 35 bombs,
Come on,
like it is what it is. But
right?
Nolan I feel like how good he is very undervalued because of
Mhm.
how often he does it. I saw at the beginning of the year they rated Nolan Arenado the fifth best third baseman in baseball.
It's crazy.
Now,
Finishes second in MVP, third best third
no,
baseman.
Manny's great. Jose
Mhm.
Ramirez is great. Austin Riley's great. But how are you going to argue against a dude that won the Gold Glove, the Platinum Glove, and the Silver
Mhm.
Slugger at the position, and you're going to put him fifth?
It's
That
just
just didn't add up to me. So I think Goldie deserved it, but man, I'm all aboard the Arenado MVP train for 2023. I'm all aboard.
100%, dude. I have full stock in that kid, man. Ever since I was able to grow a beard, and some kid randomly just thought I was Nolan Arenado one day, and I said, you know what? Maybe I do love Aaron. Nah, I'm playing, but
That's a good compliment. That's a good
it
compliment.
really is. I used to get the Mitchell Trubisky one all the time too, and it wasn't as much of a
Not
good
so much.
compliment. That one, it'd be cool because you'd get into the bar and everyone would be like, "Yo, that's Mitch," and then Mitch would throw like 2 or 3 picks, and everyone would just look at me, and I'd be like, "I'm gonna head out." I gotta go. But no, I want to talk to you about it because I love that you said you were rooting for us in 2016, us being the Cubs, because I know it must have been weird seeing Lackey and Hayward there. And
Yeah.
that's exactly how I felt when Dex came. I mean, Dex broke my heart, and it's all love with Dex. And he found his way back home. He's working for the Cubs marquee network right now. So
Mhm.
shout out Big Dex. But when I saw Fowler join the Cardinals first, those baby blue powder jerseys, and him wearing one of those, wearing 25 with the Jordans, it was art. It was art. So I love that. But I want to touch on the Wilson Contreras conversation,
Mhm.
replacing Yachty. What was that like for you when you kind of heard that news? And it was kind of rumbling for a little while that we knew that was kind of where they were going. But when it was finally all said and done, were you ecstatic about that? Or were you kind of like 50-50 on it? I've heard a lot of people think, he's going to be DHing or playing outfield at some point. And I've heard other people say, no, he's going to be one of the best catchers in baseball.
You look at it two ways. Number one, Yachty's almost 40 years old, so the offensive side wasn't there anymore. I mean, I love him to death, and I think he's one of the most, one of the clutchest players that I've watched play in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody's going to replace the way he works with the pitching staff, and the way he calls a game is masterful. The savviness that he has, the back picks, the legendary ones with Albert, where no one's given a sign and he knows he's throwing it, and they back pick him, and it's perfect. I love watching it. So you have that side with the run of the pitching staff. No one's going to replace Yachty. Now offensively, that's where I'm like, dude, why would you not sign Contreras? You know what I
Right.
mean? He's going to catch 120 games a year. He's going to hit you 25 bombs. He's going to hit 260. And now it gives Arenado a guy you can't pitch around Nolan because you got to face Contreras next.
Right.
And, I'm a Cardinal fan, but I do believe that we do have one of the deepest lineups in baseball. And adding Contreras kind of solidified that because whoever was following Yachty in the Cardinals organization, it wasn't going to be near as good as what Contreras will be.
Right.
So defensively, you take what you get, but because of the offensive side of things. So I love it, man. It is weird though. It's weird seeing him back there, but hey, it's weird in a good way for me. I'm sure it's weird in a not so good way for you guys.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it a bean. And I work for the organization, so I try to tread very lightly, especially during the season. In the off season, Luke, we can get here all day and I'll be real with you. But when I'm there, I got to keep it a bean. I felt like so many Cubs fans, especially, and just people who don't follow the Cubs and Cards, in general, I felt like it hasn't been a real rivalry in quite some time. Just in a little while, Cards were bad for a while. Cubs were bad for a lot longer. They were never good at the same time. And I felt that same way about the Cubs and the Sox, never good at the same time, or they're both horrible at the same time and no one cares. So, that's why this year is kind of an interesting little situation with Dansby coming and a bunch of other guys over there on the Sox doing their thing. But for the Cards, I really felt like, Willie, go get your bag. And I've met Willie several times working grounds crew, and it's such an amazing thing to see some guy who put the most work in really do his thing. I mean, what frustrated me the most was, saying, oh, he's, I hear a lot of the Chicago terms saying he's fake or he's an op or he's switching to the dark side or he's a traitor. And the biggest thing to me is, how can you say that when for 2 years he begged you to extend him? He begged to take a hometown discount. You dragged his name through trade talks for 2 years, almost 3. And now we're having conversations of, we didn't even make him an offer.
Right.
And I saw the offer from the Cards. Oh my, it wasn't even what I thought it was going to be.
5 years, $87 million. That's
right.
I'm taking that right. Like 7 out of 7 days of the week.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the DH and the NL too, it's like, it's one of the biggest things for me is like, it really, you can't say he disrespected you when you disrespected him first. And I think you just took the best opportunity available to you. His brother on the Brewers, 2 guys going to both be in the Central. I think that's super dope.
Super cool. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping the Cubs would have snagged him up just to be kind of a shyster about it. I would have been like, dude, that's not right. I would have been like, that's not right. That's not okay. If I was William Contreras, I'd be like, yeah, nah, I'm not. I'm gonna opt out this year.
I can't do that. Yeah.
Can't do it. But I'm just really excited for Willie, and I think there's the conversations of the injuries that come with him catching, and that's why most of the time last year he was playing DH or he was in the outfield, or very rarely was he in the outfield, but playing DH for the majority. I think that kind of just screams what the Cubs were trying to do at that time was, hey, we don't know if we're going to trade you, so we're not going to allow you that opportunity to even get hurt. But now with the Cards, I've checked out that little pipeline they got over there, and they got some dogs. I mean, that shortstop you guys got in the minors right now, man. I mean, Jordan's a dog. Don't get it twisted. I can't wait. I already locked him in, him and Volpe, for my rookies of the year, have to. But it's definitely something where I'm looking. I forget the name of the shortstop.
Mason Wynn.
Mason, what is he? Come on, Luke, help me out here. Throwing 105 from short.
Yeah, he lets it loose, bro. And he's not like a super huge physical dude either. It's just athletic, and I'm pretty sure he was drafted as a 2-way.
Mm-hmm.
He ran it up to I saw a video of him in high school running up to 95 in a bullpen. But just a freak athlete, and really impressed everybody in spring training this year. But right now they just don't have a spot for him. Tommy Edmonds at short. He was a 6 WAR dude last year. Brendan Donovan won the Gold Glove and was in Rookie of the Year talks, and he added 20 pounds of muscle and has already hit 2 home runs this year in the leadoff spot for us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's talent there. It's just a matter of who. And Wynn's young. The thing with Walker is Jordan Walker's 20 years old, but he's ready right now and can play the outfield. Wynn, you don't need to rush him, and that's the luxury of having talented guys at the major league level that you don't have to rush these young dudes and put additional pressure on, because the Cardinals are, they want to win. They're expected to win the Central and then make a run in the playoffs. And the higher the stakes, the more the pressure is on these young guys. And that's what, it'd be so sick to see Jordan Walker just like put that behind him and just, run with it. But again, the lineup is so deep. There's no pressure on Walker. He's in 8th.
Right. And I think, that's something for me. And I heard a bunch of guys talking about it, man. And it was so contradictory that I kind of kept my mouth shut. It wasn't an argument I wanted to have, because I was like, I don't even want to talk about it, because we've done this so many times. I look back on 2015, Javier Baez didn't make the roster. I mean, you're looking at a guy, because Starlin Castro and Addison Russell was kind of starting to become into his own before he completely fell off the earth. I think he's in Mexico or Japan right now playing. I don't know what the fuck. I can't even speak on it. But it's something where just because they're not up right now, I got guys like Matt Mervis, Brennan Davis, Pete Crow Armstrong that I'm buddies with. They've been on the show before. They know damn well, we don't need to be in Iowa right now. And Pete being in AA, I'd like to see Pete, adapt a little bit more and kind of just fill into his own. He's very young, like you said, 20 years old.
You got time, man. Yeah.
Right. Not everybody's Julio and Juan who just can come in here and just start ripping it.
19, 20 years old. Right.
It's becoming like people don't realize that's an anomaly. Like, that is not something that should be happening. And not to say they shouldn't be up, but like, that is not how it works. That is not the traditional way. It's not like it's starting to kind of become like the NFL or the NBA in the sense of like, hey man, straight out of college, like, we're ready. And it's freaking me out that these guys can do what they do. But last Cardinals question, man, like really looking at it right now, biggest need, and I'm gonna throw the name Jordan Montgomery in there because that was a very interesting one towards the end of last year when I saw that go down. What's something for you that you think the Cards need to do past the division? Because the division's a cakewalk. Let's keep it a bean. I mean, and I got it in tiers. If you want to hear it, I got it in tiers.
Yeah, what you got?
F5, you got Joey Votto, and that's it. I like Hunter Green. I like Hunter Green a lot, but when you give up 10 runs a game, the bullpen is horrible. So I love Hunter, but man, you can't score runs, you ain't gonna win games.
Right.
4, O'Neal Cruz, and only O'Neal Cruz. I like Reynolds too. Reynolds is out. 3, I'm putting the Brewers. Because, I mean, I like Woodruff. I obviously like Burns, solid. I'm going to put the Cubs at 2. Optimistic, if fully healthy. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Stroh and Keegan. Obviously, Justin Steele, Jameson Tyone killed my parlay today. I asked for 3 Ks, Luke. He gave me 3 earned runs. I mean, he didn't give me no 3 Ks, gave me 2, but whatever. I digress. But I got the Cards winning the division. It's a cakewalk. It's not going to be complicated, but going into the playoffs, what's something you want to see them do differently that last year it just, especially Goldie and Aaron. I mean, I looked at Arenado and Goldie in the playoffs and I was like, yo, man, these aren't the MVPs. Like, what happened? And I didn't really understand that. And now Jack Flaherty's back and a bunch of other guys are doing their thing. What is the missing piece? What's the missing link?
We need to start. We need an ace. We need a starting pitcher. And Flaherty showed that he could be that. But I mean, he threw 5 hitless innings, but he had 7 walks in his start yesterday. So, and his velo's down. He was like 89, 91 past the first inning, which is not him. We need an ace. And I put out names like Shane Bieber, dudes that you can go get right now with pieces that you have either on the MLB roster or in minor league ball.
Right.
You got Alec Burleson, who I actually played against in the Super Regional in 2019, which is kind of dope. And I played against Matt Mervis too when he was at Duke.
Great guy.
Cool dude, man. I had nothing bad to say about him.
Well, we got some things we're going to talk about how you feel about some other guys a little later.
I got you. But there's pieces that you have the luxury of being able to trade now to go get one of those bona fide aces that when you get to the playoffs, you can say, okay, this guy is starting game 1 of the series, and you feel like you have a chance to win.
Right.
Cardinals, I think it's like in 3 games they've scored 22 runs and have 46 hits. So the offense is there, and there's no question about that. We knew that coming in, but Michaelis, they extend Michaelis. I like Michaelis. Michaelis isn't an ace.
Mm.
Flaherty right now isn't an ace. Do I think he has the potential and the stuff? Yes, because he showed it. Wainwright's injured. He's 41 years old. Not an ace.
Man.
Montgomery, decent stuff, not an ace. Steven Matz, same way, decent stuff, not an ace.
Right.
So you have a bunch of like 3s and 4s on your starting rotation. You go get an ace and a guy that's just locked down dominant. You have a good chance with this offense to get, you go up 1-0 in a series, and it's hard to look back when you have an offense like this. So
Right.
starting pitching is the number one thing they need to go get. They need to go get, or the Cardinals won't make it too far in the playoffs.
100%, man. And I think that's you really hit it on the head. And I love the Flaherty conversation, because that's like to me, I think on a championship team, that's 1B at this point. I think that's the guy, it's not 1A. It's kind of like, if I had to break it down and we're talking 2016, that's kind of like the Lester Hendricks conversation. Like,
Yep.
Hendricks, you're 1B for sure. You're not beating less. So I think that's something for me that, you have a bunch of guys who are 2s, but pretty high 2s, you know what I mean? And I think that's the key right there. Obviously, guys like Mason, I would say, even if it's Garrett Cole himself, are probably untouchable. Those aren't guys you want to move. But, when, like you said, you got an offense that's already perfectly set, there isn't really a weak spot in there, especially with Jordan coming up. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, Juan Soto won a World Series in his rookie year and should have won World Series MVP, but Strasburg's a dog. So, I mean, Strasburg literally threw his entire career into that World Series and then just poof. But for you, man, I mean, breaking that down and just looking at it for what it is, how big of a part, and this is for the Cubs fans listening, so, and I want you to be real. I want you to be just keeping it a bean. I know you will. Mm-hmm. How big of a part of that do you think Wilson Contreras will actually contribute?
I mean, it's huge. It's a lot of it's going to be able to mess with the pitchers and learn them, because there was a stat that said, like, when Yachty was behind the plate last year, the pitchers, as the ERA as a whole, was a whole run less when he was behind the plate versus anybody else that was catching.
Right.
So that's extremely valuable. And Contreras' offense is going to help him win a lot of games. But the ability that he can learn and continue to grow in, being able to work with the pitching staff and just kind of understanding them and knowing what they want to work in counts, especially now with the pitch timer thing and how you have to move quick. As a pitcher, my confidence in my catcher goes a long way. And, it was very cool to see him stay back and not play in the World Baseball Classic, to build some relationships with those guys and learn them and catch all them in spring training. So it was a good start. But man, now it's 162 and the games matter. So it's all hands on deck now. But I mean, obviously, dude, Contreras is a top 5 catcher in the game and probably top 3 offensively.
Yeah.
So it'd be crazy to say he's not going to be a huge part of whatever the Cardinals do this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm one of those guys offensively. There's a couple, I think, and I'm sure I'm blanking on names right now, but the only guy I really think really has Wilson's number offensively is Adley. I think Adley's a dog. I was just talking, I don't know if you know Connor Pavolony. He's in the Baltimore Orioles organization.
I know the name, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he nothing but amazing things to say about this guy. I mean, on and off the field, just a stud. But man, we're going to break it down before we get back into you talking about some college ball. The Chicago Bears. We just talked a couple 1s and 2s with the pitching rotation of the St. Louis Cardinals, but now we got a wide receiver core, had a couple of 2s, just added a big time number 1. How excited are you right now for the Chicago Bears going into not only the draft this month, which, by the way, everybody, the draft is this month, so definitely start paying attention. But just going into the season as a whole, JF1, Air Mooney, D Moore, come on, man. What are we looking at expectation wise?
We're deep now, dude. And I was talking to a bunch of my buddies around here, Bears fans. We watch every Sunday. And I've never been more excited about a 3-14 team, I guess now, since it's 17 games, but 3-14 team. It seemed like it was like 2 seasons. The beginning of the season, we couldn't score, but we played decent defense, and we'd lose the game, was it 14-9 or something like that against the Reds or the Commanders?
Right.
And then at the end of the year, or towards the middle of the year, we trade Roquan. You trade your defensive pieces. We're giving up a bunch of runs, but then they finally took the reins off of Fields and let him do what he does, and we start scoring. So the offense is there, and now you add DJ Moore, who hopefully gives it opens up everybody else. It lets
Right.
Claypool's not a 1. Claypool's a 2. He can
Thank
be a
you.
great 2.
Luke, you're welcome back anytime, just for that statement
No,
alone.
that's 100%, and that's why like getting Claypool. A lot of Bear fans, when it happened, were like, "Oh, this is what we needed."
Right.
Now it's going to help, but it's
Right.
not the saving grace because that's not the guy that's going to take Fields to the next level.
Right.
Mooney sure as hell wasn't the one. Mooney is the ideal slot guy. He's quick. He runs good routes, and he's not like the hey, go up and get it. He's not AJ Brown. He's not
Right.
built like that. Those dudes are like DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper. Those guys are
I
physical
would,
receivers.
and not to be biased, I would even say DJ. I've seen, and the reason I
Yeah.
put DJ in that category is because I look at who threw the ball and I see these plays that he's making. I'm like Matt Corral, Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton the second time. Like we're looking at Sam Darnold. I'm like, man, and he still came up with it.
Yeah.
But I want to throw this one to you really quick because it was something for me that a lot of people were upset about. Now I was trending all over TikTok the other week when the whole trade happened because I made a video saying that the Bears were going to trade number 1 for number 9 to Carolina. And I had that right. And I made this video probably forever ago. And I said what they're going to do. And this was my personal opinion. And people were killing me. Bears fans were, you know how it is. Chase Claypool's the one. He's going to be the one. I said they're going to draft Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State.
Yep.
And 10 times better than that, you got DJ Moore out the deal. Don't know why. Don't know. That makes zero sense to me. Locked up till 2026. You're going to draft a quarterback anyway. Don't know why you're screwing over the next guy. Don't know what what drugs Adam Thielen might be on right now, but apparently he's going to have an amazing season. But, for me, it was just like understanding, you got to understand your personnel. And you hit it on the head. Claypool running routes is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. Going vertical or being a red zone threat, just like Komet, I love it. Darnell Mooney in the slot, love it. Anywhere else, no. And it's just one of those things where it's like having DJ there, kind of like and not to say he is Debo, because Debo's in a class of his own when it comes to what he's able to do. But that conversation of, hey, I could do everything here. I can actually run routes. I could actually be physical and actually understand what I'm going to do, even when I'm not told to do it. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest keys right now. But this was the question I wanted to pose to you. Never in Chicago Bears history has there been a quarterback that's thrown 4,000 yards in a season. Justin Fields, obviously being very mobile, had over 1,000 yards and probably would have broke Michael Vick's record all time. And obviously Lamar Jackson in a single season already broke in a single game. But, if he had finished the season and didn't get benched the last game, I think he would have surpassed it. For you, do you think Justin Fields ever throws 4,000 yards in a Bears uniform with the legs?
I'll say yes. I don't think it'll be this year. I think that Fields does he shows great. I won't say great. He shows good potential in the passing game.
Right.
And the way we're talking about Fields right now is the way a lot of people were talking about Jalen Hurts before AJ Brown went to Philly.
Luke, again, I'm gonna say it again. Welcome back anytime.
But I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. He's fun to watch. He's competitive as hell. He wants to win, and like those are the dudes that are cool to watch because they ball when the lights are shining.
Right.
But Field shows the ability to pass the ball. Obviously, it's going to be legs. That's what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Is that sustainable? I don't know, because when they drafted Trubisky, the Bears were good when Trubisky would run, and then he got popped like week 14 or 15.
It'd be that UCL all the time. He'd have the MCL sprains, everything. Yeah. Man, it's just horrible.
Didn't want to run again, and now I'm not. It was crazy to take Trubisky in the first place, but his rookie year, his first year playing, we're like, damn, this guy, he's not as bad as everybody was like.
The Tampa game, we were like, okay, well, maybe we can actually do this.
But Justin is a different type of animal when it comes to, his ability to run the football and make people miss.
Mm-hmm.
I can see him throwing for 4,000. Again, I don't think it'll be this year. I'm still not against the Bears drafting Smith and Jigba with the 9th pick. Do I think they're going to? Probably not.
Right.
We had to address other needs. But man, that connecting Fields and Smith and Jigba again, and then maybe even like using Mooney as like a trade bait thing for an offensive lineman or something.
Right.
That would be sweet. But man, if the rumors are true and Carter's still going to be there at 9, I don't really care what he did in his draft thing. Like the dude's a dog. He's going to get his body right. He's going to go back and watch the video of what he did to Bama and Tennessee
Oh,
and the
dude.
dudes that he played in the SEC. Like
Right.
this pre-draft stuff, the combine, all that.
Yeah. I'm 9 pounds overweight. I said, you understand he's a defensive lineman, right? Like it happens all the time. But
that's an extra 9 pounds is about to land on the quarterback. So
right.
He'll be straight. I'm not worried about that. And the Bears will do whatever it takes to get the outside, the off the field issues handled. But Paris Johnson from Ohio State, you need there's big names out there that are going to be available to the Bears.
Skaronski's from Park Ridge. He's an Illinois. Man, how many Illinois kids we got on the team right now? We got TJ Edwards, we got Jack Sanborn, Cole Kmet. I mean, the list is going on of guys. I mean, I love it. He's making a Chicago-born roster, and I'm expecting my invite sometime soon. I know they need a running back, so I'm just throwing that out there. But that's something for me that I wanted to ask you too. And man, you already hit it on the head. The transitions are flawless, but I think the Lions would probably take a chance on Jalen before we got an opportunity to. That's just my personal opinion. I think matching him up with Aiden Hutchinson would be a huge issue moving forward. But if we were able to get a guy like Jalen Carter, and I am in the minority, and I think you are too, I hate the conversations. Oh, he's a killer. Oh, he's fake. Oh, he's a horrible person. Bro, first of all, you don't know what it's like to be in that atmosphere. Second of all, he was in his car and you were in yours. You made a decision, and so did he. And that's really now fleeing the scene. I think there's a lot of different conversations, but I will never speak on it because I've never been in that situation. And I think that's the conversation right there that a lot of people want to sit here and tell me or tell, the media that, oh man, this is what he should have done and yada, yada, yada. And that's really just not the case. Maybe we just shouldn't be giving 19-year-olds 2022 track hawks and Hellcats, and maybe these things wouldn't happen. But I think one of the biggest things for me is, do you think Eberflus wants to put up with Jalen Carter? If the off the field issues are as deep as people think, because it's not the first time. There's been multiple problems in college for him, not to that level or that extent, but where people just kind of questioned him as a player and as a teammate. And I think that's something for me where what I see from Eberflus, and you saw it through Roquan, was like, yo, if you try to throw us under the bus or you're not all in, I'm not putting up with it. And I think that was something for me where I kind of looked at that and I was like, I think like you said, Paris Johnson, I mean, the biggest sweetheart in the room, apparently, because I heard nothing but amazing things from this guy, and his work ethic is second to none. So do you think Eberflus would even take a chance on that, if it's true?
The reason I say yes is because I know how big of a defensive mind Eberflus is. And like you said, you can't the whole situation is crazy. The kid's, what is he, 20 years old, 21 years old, whatever it is. He made a mistake. He made a mistake. Now, his mistake is going to be on a much bigger scale than everybody else's because he was the priest. He's projected to go number one overall. So the simple answer would be no, because you don't want the off the field type of stuff.
Right.
But then you dig into it and you're like, well, this is the guy that we might have took with the first overall pick. If he's still there at 9, yeah, you take him and you work with him and you fix the off the field stuff, which I really don't think is going to be as hard as people think it is. He lost a good buddy of his in a tragic accident. I mean, it's horrible what happened. Right. But that's a lesson that he learned. And do you really think he's going to go out and do something similar again?
Right.
And if he does, then yeah, don't draft him because that dude's an idiot then, and there's a different type of thing that you need to worry about if that's what he's about. But common sense tells me that, hey, he learned his lesson. It's a tragic way to learn it, but it's an opportunity now for him to come into an organization that is known for our defense in the past and be the next great dominant defensive player on the Chicago Bears on a defense that's already growing. You've got 2 great linebackers. You have veterans on the defensive side that can help him learn and push him. So to answer your question, would Eberflus draft him? I think he would. I think he'd be crazy not to if he's there. Mm-hmm. And then you just work with him with whatever baggage comes with him.
Right. And I think the big thing for me was Larry. when Larry signed with us last year and then obviously doesn't pass the physical, I said, damn, like that was our guy in the trenches. That was our guy that was going to do his thing. And you know what? I'm happy it didn't happen because he did have a great year. And I don't think we would have had the number 1 overall pick if Larry was in some certain situations. But I think at the end of the day, for me, when I look at this team, the first thing that always comes into my head, I don't know why, is just I miss Akeem Hicks every single day. Every single day I miss Akeem. And I wish he was a free agent this year because I would have picked him up to pair him up with Jalen Carter, and it would have been dog city all day long. But I think at the end of the day, my real expectations for them, and I hate that I have to phrase it in this way because the trade's been official for about 3 months now, but it still hasn't happened, is Rodgers to the Jets. That's definitely, whether it's happening or not, Luke, it's the consensus is I'm either going to the Jets or I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And
he
that's
ain't gonna be a Packer.
right. Cool. And they're kind of on the same boat with that. This is my kind of opportunity for me to sit up here and say that I think the Bears could easily win the division. And I think it's not
between them and the Lions. I don't think the Vikings are going to be what they were last year.
But I want to ask you, that was what I wanted to ask you. Why is that a conversation? Because I've heard everybody saying right now it's Bears versus Lions. And I'm like, for me, if I'm Justin Jefferson, who doesn't need any fuel underneath the fire, he doesn't need any help. But if I hear that and I go, what the fuck are you guys leaving us out for? We just won the division. We just went to the playoffs. For you, really just looking at who they dropped off, Kendricks, obviously they bring back Harrison on a cheap deal. They lose out on Adam Thielen. Is there any specific reason that you aren't big on the Vikings?
Well, to start, I want to say they were, what they finished, 13-4?
I believe it's 12 or 13.
And it's at one point they were like 8 games above 500, and their plus minus in points was like -4. So they won their games. They won a couple games big, but they lost their games big and won a lot of close games.
Right.
So I'm not gonna say it's luck because obviously they were good. Dalvin Cook's a dog. You got obviously Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins throwing them the ball. Kirk made an improvement this year. I can't lie.
I had nothing. I literally, if I'm quiet about Luke, if you ever see me on Twitter or Instagram and I'm not talking about Kirk, he's probably doing very well.
Right. And they picked up Hawkinson, which is another great weapon to use. But there's you don't want to call it luck, but I felt like a lot of their wins were kind of flukes. And like, dude, the Bills fumbling the ball on the freaking inch-yard line, and the Vikings win a game like that.
I mean, let's talk about Indianapolis having a 36-0 lead at halftime and losing 38-36. I was just
like, that stuff doesn't happen. That doesn't
Jack Saturday, but
it's again, I think the Vikings are good. And I don't think the Bears are going to win the division this year. I think they're really getting set up for 2024, 2025.
Right.
But they're going to be competitive. And what's nice is, man, you can be really competitive this year and you still get the Panthers pick next year. Right. And it's going to be really hard for someone to tell me that it's not going to be at least a top 5 pick.
I think that's the consensus. I was with the majority that said I think it could be top 2, but then I think I'm looking at it and they bring in a couple of decent pieces. I think they win a couple games here and there. Yeah. I think it's going to be tough. But last Bears question, man, gotta ask: best player on the team going, or let's say who's going to have the best season, offense, defense? We could do both. How are we feeling about it?
I'm gonna go Khalil Herbert because I think he was the better running back last year, and Montgomery has the name, but Herbert's numbers were better. And when I saw the whole thing about Eckler going in wanting to trade, and maybe
I'm not into that,
being like a suitor, I think it would be sick because I think he'd be an awesome weapon for Fields in the passing game. But at the same time, Fields doesn't really need the playmaking running back to do that.
I'm like, sir, I need a tackle, sir. I need can Eckler block?
Exactly. Eckler's like 5'8", so it's not like he's this huge back that's going to be running dudes over. But I love Herbert. I love how he runs. It was kind of similar to Montgomery, and I think that had a lot to do with the way Montgomery worked with them. But tough runner, and you pick up Dante Foreman, so you have another good back. And we have another one too, right? We picked up one more.
You still have Ebner. I believe you still have Ebner.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
the only one. We have Devontae Foreman, Ebner, and obviously Herbert. But Juice, man, and that's what everybody in Chicago calls Herb, man. I was so huge. One, because I had him in fantasy, and two, because I just always felt like, and myself I played running back, safety, a little hybrid. Could not catch, and that's why we played running back. But could not catch. Call me Scotty Miller. I'm not in here. I make one catch a game, but I felt like, for me and from my time playing, there's guys who wait for holes and there's guys who create holes that aren't there.
Yep.
And I always felt like with David Montgomery, I always hated the stats. Oh, after contact, he has the most yardage. And I'm like, that's because he's getting grabbed before the line of scrimmage. And I think that was one of the things about David. You put David Montgomery on the Cowboys, or you put him on the Eagles, or someone with a top 3 offensive line, and you're talking about one of the best running backs in the game.
Yeah.
But his problem for me is, especially with the Bears, David got the ball, and I love him because he's an amazing teammate. I'm never going to knock him. He's class act, and I love what he does. He's a workhorse, man. But my thing was, he'd stop, he'd look, wait for his hole. If it's not there, dude, 3 guys in your face. Khalil, second he grabs that ball, holes here, no, cool, I'm going to go. And then he just goes. And he's going for 60, 50 yards at a time. And I'm like, not really, but you know what I mean? Like, there's times where he just flies right through and creates something out of nothing. And I think that's the biggest difference. And, myself, I don't know how you felt about it. I wanted Jamal Williams more than anything in this world. Just because I love Jamal. I'm a huge Jamal. We even got, I'm going to see if I can find it real quick, but we even have a Jamal Williams segment on this show. Every now and then I get bored when we have guests on, and I'll just play it if we're having conversations on the network. But Jamal Williams is one of those guys that I just feel like you need as a leader. Watching him on Hard Knocks, watching him do his thing. This is the video. This is my favorite video I've ever seen.
Leader of the hidden village of the Den.
Dude, he's such a unique personality, man. And that, like, seeing him on his interviews and stuff, and post game, media press releases or whatever he's on, he's always got some crazy stuff he's talking about, and it doesn't make sense to any of us, but it looks like it makes perfect sense to him.
Right. Oh, he's talking about. You saw he was talking about Eevee on Pokemon. He was talking about Pokemon in his opening press conference of signing with the New Orleans Saints. He's talking about Pokemon. They're asking about Derek Carr. He goes, "No, it's Pokemon. Don't call it Pokemon." And I'm like, all right, you know what, Jamal, you go clock out for me, man. Just go hit the field, bro. Just go hit the field, because I can't even take that man seriously at all. But moving on to it, man, getting back into it. Me and Luke are about to start our own podcast, just talking about the Bears. We can do this all day. All day we can do this. But I wanted to ask you, you said you didn't start off in Louisville, and I want to break that down into, what really happened in college and what that transition was like for you, for the people who don't know what happened before Kentucky.
Yeah. So like I said, I went to Centennial High School, graduated, played my this senior season and the playoffs and all that stuff. Wasn't committed to go anywhere after senior season was over. Parkland College is like a 3-minute drive from my house. They got a really good baseball program that's been that way for forever. Kevin Kiermaier plays for the Blue Jays now. He went there. That's our prized.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Our guy is Jack Sawinski on the Pirates is our guy.
There you go. But ended up, so Coach Goble, John Goble, who I was talking about earlier, he was a pitching coach. He was the pitching coach at Parkland, but kind of helped out with some young guys around the city of Champaign. And I was one that worked with him. And him and I got off on a great note, became good buddies, worked with him quite a bit. And after my senior season, he's like, "Hey, man, I got a walk-on opportunity for you. Kind of give you a chance, see what you can make of it. You'll probably be 17 or 18 on the depth chart of 18 dudes." And I'm like, "Bro, that's all I need. I just need a shot. And, I'll like I said, like you said, I'll do what I can. I'm going to, give it my best and see what happens." Ended up having a really good freshman year. I went 10-0, dominated. We got third in the country in the national tournament. And had a blast, dude. It was a great experience. The connection that I had with Gobes just kind of helped me take my work ethic to the next level and find a new passion for pitching and the competitive side of things. Because, like I said earlier, man, I wasn't the biggest dude, so I had to have a bigger personality than what my body was on the mound.
Mhm.
The presence is what we call it. You got presence on the mound
Right.
is crucial to success. So after my freshman year, that's when I started kind of getting some attention, and I went on a visit to U of I, Illinois, Coastal Carolina, North Carolina State, Clemson, um, and Louisville. And the connection at Louisville came from one of my good buddies, Jake Snyder. His dad, Eric Snyder, Coach Snyder, was the hitting coach at U of I for a bunch of years.
Mhm.
So Jake and I grew up together. Well, Eric, Coach Snyder, took the job at Louisville, and that was my connection there. So um, fast forward, I end up coming back to Parkland my sophomore year, have another solid year. We finish as national runner up. We lose the national championship on a walk off home run. So that was just crazy, dude. It was I still remember watching the ball go over the fence and just couldn't believe it was over. Um, but before that, I had committed to Louisville in October of the year before my sophomore year, and it was just such a surreal moment because the success the program had, and the coaching staff was one of the best in the country. Everybody knows them, and just the knowledge that I was excited to be able to take in. I was thrilled about it, and I ended up going there as I was the only JUCO guy in our class, so getting there for those summer workouts with all the incoming dudes. I think there was 18 guys in our class, and 17 of them were incoming freshmen. I was going to be a junior, so I was 2
Right.
years older than all of them. And dude, those recruiting classes are no joke, man. Those are the cats that are throwing 95, 97 as
Yeah.
seniors in high school, and half of them got drafted and decided to come back. And I'm just the JUCO dude that I had 160 college innings under my belt. I had a little experience, and I guess that's kind of what Louisville was interested in.
I do think, to your point though, because I don't want you to discredit yourself in any way, man. I think JUCO guys, man, I think, just not all the cards align. I think, like you said earlier, there's a lot of luck that goes into it. And I think you always had this stuff. I was watching your stuff on all the tapes that I could find from, before obviously Louisville. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked enough. And I think in Chicago, we see that a lot as well. Let's be real here, Luke. I'm inside the house 8 months out of the year, freezing my ass off next to the heater. So, we're not always on the field doing our thing, not able to go to these showcases in Florida. And I think there's so many guys that end up going JUCO right now. A bunch of kids that I previously coached are doing it just because of the opportunities. And I think, there's also the guys out there who just, they throw 99, but they also smoke a lot of weed. So there's, or they don't go to class. And I think there's definitely levels to it. But I wanted to ask you, especially being a Champaign guy, U of I, was that obviously you had the connection in Louisville, but was that a dream? Was that something that you always wanted to go to U of I, or was that kind of just like, hey, if it happens, it happens?
Uh, my dream was to play in the big league ball. I wanted to
Right.
play. I wanted to get drafted. I wanted to go play in the show. And being honest with you, growing up, I never really thought of the process to getting there. I was just like, man, I want to be a
It's
big
just
league.
the end goal all the
That's what I
time.
want to do. Yeah.
Right.
And as you get older, you start maturing. You're like, there's a lot of steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned very quickly that to play college ball in anything, collegiate athletes in anything, you really got to love what you're doing because, like we talked about earlier, man, the 6 a.m.s, Monday through
Right.
Friday, you have to sacrifice, certain things on weekends. And I'm not going to sit there and say I sat at home every week, and I went out with my buddies, and that's where you build your team chemistry. You have fun,
Right.
you enjoy yourself, but you also have to be mature enough to understand, okay, can I recover? Can I be ready to roll on Monday morning at 6 a.m. because we're deadlifting, and
Right.
I'm not going to show up half-ass and do it wrong and be behind, because at the end of the day, the most important thing to me was winning.
Right.
And a great tool was, because the players at Louisville were so talented, we got a taste of playing the best of the best in our scrimmages and all that stuff, leading up to the season. But I'm getting sidetracked. Back to your question about Illinois. It was
Oh, yeah, go ahead, man. Whatever you want to talk about.
U of I was like, it was always here. And
Mhm.
my mom actually sat me down and had a great conversation with me. Going to Parkland, I was I lived at home, saved money. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Again, I'm from Champaign. I had a bunch of buddies that went to Parkland or Illinois. So it was like high school 2.0.
Yeah.
That has its pros and cons. By the time I was out of Parkland, I was like, I'm kind of excited to get out and explore. But the conversation my mom had with me was, okay, if your end goal is to get drafted, do you think it's wise that you go to Illinois and essentially you're still at home? I would have lived on campus and done the whole, all the stuff with all the guys, whatever.
Right.
But U of I is 5 minutes from my house. So I
Right.
could have came home at any time. And the homesickness really wouldn't have sat in. So she said, you can do that, or you can go to Louisville. You can be 3.5 hours away from home. You can, learn to live on your own, learn to fend for yourself and enjoy yourself and make friends and do all that stuff. So that when your name does get called, hopefully, and you have to go to the middle of Oregon to play in low A, that it's not your first time leaving the house.
Mhm.
I sat down and thought about it. I was like, you know what? That's a great point. It's something that, I'm a huge family person. I love everybody in Champaign. It's a place near and dear to my heart, always will be. But at the same time, everybody's got to go out on their own at some point. So
Right.
me, I had a friend that I knew at Louisville, so there was some sort of comfortability there. But man, it was the best decision I ever made. Met so many great people that are some of my best friends now. Obviously had some awesome experiences, played in some crazy ballparks, crazy atmospheres. And those are stories that I'll be able to tell my kids.
For sure, man. And obviously, it doesn't talk about how many games you played and everything you did, to speak on. But win-loss, 12 wins, 5 losses, 4.58 ERA. And a lot of people look at that, you're looking at the majors and say that's not amazing. But at a college level, that's a very successful college career. And a lot of guys, if you threw me in a bullpen session right now, I promise you my ERA is higher than my batting average, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be messed up. It's going to be crazy. But really looking at that, the 2019 season, it was great for you. It was great for you. 6-1 win-loss record, 4.24 ERA. Can you kind of take me through what happened in that season for you, and really just kind of realizing, hey, I really made it into where I want to be in this?
Dude, so when I got to Louisville, I'll be real with you. When I started watching these scrimmages and playing in them, I was like, what am I doing here? I'm not the same as these guys that are playing with me. I look at some of the Jack Perkins, one of my best friends, like love him to death. Perk was a true freshman. His first outing, he was 95, 97 against UConn. And I see that and I'm like, dude, I pitched yesterday. I was 89, 91. I threw a couple innings, gave up a run, threw okay, but my stuff's not even close to what his stuff is.
Mhm.
The talent level was like Perk's up here, Luke's down here, and it wasn't even close. And it was that way for really everybody on the staff. There was a lot of guys that had way more talent than me. So early on, I'm like, what am I doing here, dude? But then that's when I kind of started thinking back to my time at Parkland and what I had to do as a freshman to jump in front of a lot. And dude, I'm telling you, our staff at Parkland was legit. We led the country in strikeouts. We dominated everybody, and we knew it. We walked in with
Talk.
eye that and we knew who we were, and that's why nobody liked us.
Mhm.
No one likes the teams that kick your ass, and
Right.
that's why I like going to Louisville, because number one, they were already in the news. Nobody likes Louisville. We got a big ass L on our hat, so it's people throw that up as all the time and think it's funny. And for us, you didn't really have a reason to throw it up, because 9 times out of 10, when we left your ballpark, it was with a W.
Right.
And when you take that like villain mindset,
Right.
it's fun, dude. It's a blast. And that's kind of where I went as a player internally was, man, you know what? I'm glad these guys are on my team, but internal competition was something very important to me. If you can't find internal competition within your teammates and yourself, I don't think you're going to be very successful.
No, I think, and to your point, not to cut you off, but that's what makes a good team. I feel like is when practices go hard and practices are actually competitive and guys are actually, and I think, before I let you keep going, but like the big thing is nobody's trying to steal anybody's job. Everybody's just trying to continue to get better every single day. And there's obviously going to be those guys who, they're praying for your downfall or they're praying just to get those opportunities. And that comes with the sport. But I think that's something for me that you are hitting on right now. And I'm a Tennessee Volunteers fan, man. And to see Drew Gilbert, Evan Russell, and all those guys really just do their thing and become the villains, I think that's one of the most important things ever.
Embrace who you are. That's the biggest thing, dude. And I think the reason we were so good my junior year was because there were people that got their spots taken, and I was one of them. I was the midweek starter, going the beginning of the year. And the thing is, when we play at Louisville, the midweek games are good, man. We played Ole Miss, we'd play Kentucky, you'd play Vanderbilt, you'd play Cincinnati, you'd play these teams that are legit teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament, that play in other dominant conferences and win a lot of games in those conferences. And I love that. It was awesome because that's kind of what, as we keep talking, that's where I felt like I was prepared when the bigger games came because I'd pitched against them. I'd been in them already. But I lost my spot. My spot was taken. My best friend, Jack, took it from me. And I told you, man, Jack was gross. And I'm not I want to win. You better believe I want to be out there helping my team win. But at the end of the day, if I can walk home or go home after the game and we won and I didn't play, I'm gonna be thrilled, dude. Because I want to win. I want to be able to tell my buddies, dude, we're 50-6. We're kicking everybody's ass.
Right.
And if I played, great. If I didn't, I'm still 50-6 because I'm on the team.
No, 100%.
But the biggest thing with that was I had to stay ready. And it broke my heart. Jack had to get Tommy John surgery, tore his UCL, and right in the ACC tournament. So my spot fell back in line in the regional and in Omaha, and the rest is history.
Right. And you skipped over the history part that I think is really important. You went viral for a little bit, and we'll play the clip for the people who don't know. It's 20-second clip, so just stay with us real quick. But this is Luke Smith in his element, prime Luke Smith. I loved every second of it.
Luke Smith has been talking all night. I think he was telling Infante to get back in that batter's box. He leaves right now with 10 strikeouts and a whole bunch of attitude for the Cardinals.
I wanna say first and foremost, that's not the Luke we know on this stage right now. Luke is an amazing individual. Just do not step in his box, man. Do not step on the plate. Do not attempt to talk to him or even look at him. Don't even breathe. I don't want to see anybody over there because Luke will tip your head off. But I do want to ask you, man, like you talked about it, and I think it's really important and why I even played the clip. I played the clip for a couple of reasons because I love it. I watch it every day before I wake up in the morning. I go, you know what? Today's the day. But
one of those days, yep.
10Ks going into that game is the more important storyline to me. But I do think for you saying I loved becoming the villain, was that the moment where you were like, man, I got to do something to just ignite this? Or for what really went into that, the whole fuck you and everything that just transpired?
It's something that that's not the first time it's happened.
Oh, I know. I there was a few fuck yous in that game alone, and then in other games.
It's a maybe I need to maybe I should have found a better word to use, but like JUCO ball. That's kind of
hold on. No, you be you, man. Don't ever apologize or say I should have done. Fuck that. Because I want you to tell the whole story, but I want you, like, as me and you talking, man, fuck that. Like, that is what makes the Drew Gilbert bat flips of the world, the Luke Smith fuck yous. I mean, it's just that is what makes the game so great. And I think that's something that I want in life. Obviously, I'm not telling you to go to work tomorrow and tell somebody to go fuck themselves,
Right.
but just keep that mentality of like, I am him. And I mean this in all due respect, because I'm a Bulls fan. We do love him over here. The Patrick Beverleys of the world who are just like, man, fuck you. Like,
Mhm.
I'm him. And I love that about you, brother. You don't change none of that.
Right. And dude, I don't take it back for a second. I don't regret it. I do it again like that because
I
that's who
do
I
it
am.
again. Clip it right now. Send
I
it
mean,
to the
that's
send
that's
it
the
to
way
him.
it is, bro. Like, but like dating back to JUCO ball, that's the way it was. But there's no cameras. No one's
No,
watching. No
nothing.
one wants to watch two JUCO teams running against each other in the middle of April where it's probably snowing,
Right.
But talk, dudes talk. They got it. They got something to say. And like, I was a big believer in when we showed up to the field, we knew we were the best team out there. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted us to go win a doubleheader, win both games, leave, and then make the other team wonder if we even recognize that they were on the field with us.
Right.
That was my goal. And because now, but don't get me wrong, if they're going to say something, we're going to finish it.
Right.
We don't need to be the people to instigate it because we know who we are. And that's kind of the way we rolled at Louisville. It was like we knew we were bad. We knew we were tough. We knew that, when we rolled into your place, we were expecting to leave a weekend series with 3 wins. And I'm not saying it happened every time. There's some good teams, man. Clemson beat our ass a couple times. That's the way it rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But going in with, like we talked about earlier, a presence, and I don't want to say ego because we weren't trying to be like cocky, look at us, but we
Yeah.
wanted you to realize, hey, like we wore the All Blacks on Friday night.
You wanted them to feel you, man.
We wanted to realize, man, these dudes are business. That they come
Right.
in, they're quiet, and it's like it's weird. It's eerie. We wanted to be like the eerie team that's like, man, what are these cats about to do to us? And it was that was kind of like just who we were. But that moment specifically, Louisville and Vanderbilt, we have a annual. We play each other once a year, and
Mhm.
either their place or our place, and it's called the Battle of the Barrel. The winner of the game gets this big old barrel, and then your name goes on it for the year, and it's just bragging rights, basically.
Right.
So we had played. I got a little story here. We had played Vanderbilt in May of that year, and I came in the ninth inning with 2 outs and the bases loaded. We were losing 5-2. I walked a guy, so a run scored 6-2, and then the next pitch was a fly out to right. Got out of the inning. We ended up losing the game 6-2. I get pulled into my pitching coach's office, and to keep it PG, he ripped me a new one and basically was like, dude, we brought you here as a veteran and expect more out of you. And that's the extreme PG version, dude. I mean,
Right.
it
Hey, you
was
can say whatever you want to say.
it was like just chewing my ass. And I'm a dude that like I don't mind that. That kind of fires me up because I'm like, you know what, you're right. I expect more out of myself, and
Mm.
I wasn't pitching the way that I expected myself to. So that's kind of when my season turned around. But fast forward to the elimination game, and that was just like kind of a full circle moment for me. I thought back, all day, the whole day. I knew I was pitching that night, and I just kind of kept thinking, like, man, 3 years ago I was an uncommitted dude. After my senior season, went JUCO, went through the process, worked for 2 years, got to Louisville, earned a spot, lost it, got it back. I'm pitching on Friday night on ESPN in an elimination game against the best offense maybe college baseball has ever seen. That's pretty crazy. And I was ready for it. I knew that, in that moment, walking out to the bullpen, I had done everything I could to prepare for the moment that I was in. So
Mhm.
whatever happened was in God's hands, and I was just going to go be the dude that, displayed it. But talking about what we've talked about, man, I'm competitive as hell. I don't want to lose. I hate losing at anything, man. It's in my blood to win. And that's the way, like, it's win or go home. You lose, your season's over. And I was pumped, bro. Like, Vanderbilt was legit. It's the
Yeah.
best team I've ever faced. Austin Martin's the best hitter I've ever faced. And JJ Bleday's right behind him. Ethan Paul, like these cats could hit the shit out of the ball.
Right.
And it was just a big moment. And if you watched before, the guy that I was facing in that for the video, he was kind of taking a little too long to get in the box, and I was rolling. And it's baseball savviness. It's what you do, man. When the pitcher's rolling, you take your time getting in the box. You can't do that anymore with the pitch clock, but back then you could do whatever you
I
wanted.
do whatever you wanted.
And looking back on it, I respect the savviness. He's doing his job. But in the moment, I'm like, dude, you're not doing this. We're on my time. I'm throwing the ball. You get in the box. I'm ready to roll. So I told him, hey, like, get in the box. Let's get this going. Come on. And man, like, as a pitcher, there's a couple times in your career where you release the ball out of your fingers and you're like, there ain't no chance this cat's hitting this. He's swinging a miss and I got him. And that was one of those. And he swung and missed. And if you watch it, I don't say anything at first. I release the ball. I finish the pitch. I stand up and I just kind of look at him. And I think I earned that right. I had 10 strikeouts. I just finished the eighth inning in the biggest game of my career. And the stadium is blowing up, dude. I mean, it's the coolest experience of my life. And he looks at me, had a couple words for me, and I'm like, something's not adding up here. I just got you out. You can't say that to me. And it's Julian Infante. I got nothing but respect for this dude. Like he got drafted by the Marlins and now he's, doing great things. I got no bad beef with him. It's competitiveness. It's in his blood just like it's in mine. But the heat of the moment, I wasn't taking any shit from anybody because I didn't have to. You know what I mean? So I said what I said. In all honesty, I think I kind of blacked out because I don't like vividly remember that moment specifically. But we end up losing the game. I gave up the lead in the ninth. It is what it is. I wanted to go back out. I told my coach when I went back in, I was like, do not take me out of this game. I want the ball. This is mine. Give me a chance. And I'm thankful that he did. He trusted me to do it. I went out, I got the first out, walked the next guy, and then the next guy hits a double down the line, and it's 2 inches from being foul. So that's a game of baseball. It's a game of inches. No. But it looking back, I don't regret it because that's who I am. That's why I was successful. Now, my stuff wasn't nearly as good as some of the dudes on the team. Dude, Reed Detmers threw a no-hitter for the Angels. He was our Friday night starter. Bobby Miller is the top pitching prospect in the Dodgers organization. He throws 100. He was our Saturday starter. Nick Bennett is in the Brewers organization. He threw on Sunday. You have Michael McAveen, who's in the Cubs organization. Dude threw 100. He was our closer. Michael Kirian, dominant lefty. Adam Elliott, another great lefty. Glenn Albany's Jared Poland. I mean, the names go on forever. We were loaded. Those dudes all have so much more talent than I did. But the reason I was successful, and dude, I'm not trying to sit here and say I had the best career. But if I could have a lower ERA, I would go back and have a lower ERA. I'm not sitting there saying 4 or 5 is where I wanted it to be. Right. But I had it up here, and that's why, like, those big games, I was like, give me the damn ball. I'll do it. Let me do it. I want the ball in my hand when the game matters the most. And like I said, so I kind of blacked out in that moment, but then I get back to the locker room after we have the media day. I'm pissed. I'm crying. We lost the game. Our season's over. And I got a couple buddies that are in the locker room, and they're like, you got to check your phone. Something's going crazy. You got to check your phone. And I'm like, what in the hell is everybody laughing at, bro? We just lost. So I pick up my phone and I can't even like open it because I'm getting so many notifications. And I'm like, what is going on? So I have to shut my phone off, turn it back on. I open up Twitter. Everybody's on it. I'm getting roasted left and right. This dude just blew the game. All the stuff where I'm like, man, everybody's saying it were the dudes that were sitting in their basement watching me on ESPN. So again, I'm not trying to have like this big ego about it.
No, but that is the right mentality. I mean,
that's what it was.
Hey, couch coaches, man. That's what it is, and that's what we call them. You can't talk about the game if you haven't been there, and I think that's something that's really important. I mean, there's levels to it. I mean, you could critique, and I think that's something, but to say a dude's trash when he's gotten to that level in that moment, like you said, the guys that you're in your clubhouse alone, not just the guys you're facing. I mean, they're league bound, man. And I think the fact that you looked at your skipper and said, fuck you, and fuck, not literally, but you were like, fuck you, I'm not coming out. And he was like, cool, let it ride. And that it speaks volumes to who you are as a person. And I think that's just one of the most important things.
Right. And it was like like I said, the coolest moment of my life. And to say that I threw the best game of my career on the biggest stage, and yeah, we lost, man. Believe me, if I could go back and change the outcome of that game to a big old W, and I hand the ball to Reed Detmers to go win the winner take all, go to the national championship final series,
Mm.
I like our chances.
No, yeah.
But we didn't. It was a great learning lesson for me. And going back, no one counted on COVID, so we all thought we were coming back. We were the preseason #1 team in the country.
Right.
We had Henry Davis, our catcher, who was the first overall pick. You got Alex Manellis, you got Ben Metzinger, you got Andrew Benefield, you got Lucas Dunn, Levi Usher, Luke. I mean, the name again. That's our offense.
Right.
Our offense was nuts, but we brought back so many talented arms from a staff that just went to the College World Series and got third. Our whole weekend rotation was coming back. We were loaded. Like, we knew, okay, they got us. Not next year.
Right.
We're running this back, and we are leaving with a fat ring on our finger. And there's anything less than that was not a successful season in our eyes. And I'm not like we didn't sit on our ass and say it's going to be given to us. Man, that off season was crazy, dude. It was so many dudes just focused on one common goal. Our strength coach, Zach Farrell, who I have so much love and respect for, changed my body for me, helped me become stronger at a velocity, things I needed to be successful. Pat Hassel was our trainer, same thing, taught us how to take care of our bodies and recover the right way to prepare to pitch for the next outing or play the field, whatever you were doing. But just great people that were in our corner that helped us at whenever we needed it.
Right.
But dude, man, we had some workhorses, dude. Like, our weight room was nuts. It was loud. It was people challenging each other. The Omaha Challenge, Coach Mack, his favorite word is compete. And we did stuff, whatever we were doing, scrimmages, academics, like everything we were doing had some sort of competition in it. And that's when it came out, like when you played us, you felt that because all we had been doing since we lost was competing with each other and fighting and saying, dude, we're not feeling this again. And I believe in my whole heart, man, if we got to play that season out, you're talking to a national champion right now instead of some dude that, was on TV because he said a cuss word.
Right.
And, that it's cool to say that, like, I was known, I'm known for something, but I hate that it's that.
No, yeah, for sure.
I got no issue with it. And I love that that's like, it's who I am. And I'm not afraid of that. I'll never apologize for that. But I'm a man of God. I'm huge in my faith. I'm a sports geek, man. Like you said, I could sit here and talk to you for hours about this stuff. But people only remember the one moment. And again, I could not give two shits about what anybody that I don't know think about me. I got my family, I have my friends, and I have the city of Louisville and the city of Champaign that had my back. That's all I care about. And if you don't want to take the time to get to know me, you can kiss my ass, dude. I really don't care. But for the people that do, I would hope they'd be able to tell you that I was a great teammate. I was a great friend. I'm a great brother, cousin, whatever it is. I care about my people, and I want to be there for them. That's what I'm about, basically.
Right. No, and I love that, man, because it's always something for me. At the end of the day, no matter who you are, it's so much bigger than ball. And as the kids I coach right now, I try to explain that to them all the time, is that, there's levels to this shit. Like the kid who, we all come from different walks of life, but one kid goes home to his suburban home and the next kid's walking through the hood just trying to get home safe. And I think there's so many different levels to it when you step off that mound, you step off that diamond. And I think that's something that not a lot of people, especially fans nowadays, don't think of. It's like, what are these guys going home to? You don't know these guys personally. You don't know them as people. The only person in this world that I would say is a guaranteed asshole is probably Manny Machado, but that's just my Manny Machado hate, and that's just how I feel about it. That's a whole different show for a different day, but we could definitely do a show just based on my hate for Manny Machado. But I guess 300 million wasn't enough. But it's definitely something that I think is very important. I did want to ask you a couple more before we get out of here and let you go. Is the COVID season, like you mentioned it, and you mentioned what could have been, but what was it? What obviously I'm looking at it, 3.42 ERA, 3.0 win-loss before shit hits the fan. what went into, now I talked to Brennan Davis, Matt Mervis, Side A, Side B, all these different things in the minors that were kind of going on. Obviously, we got cardboard people. Bill Murray's in a Cubs in Wrigley Field as a cardboard cutout. I saw a teddy bear get nuked in the face in the bleachers by a ball, and is RIP. My guy got headshot for sure. But, for you guys in college, what was that like? And, there's so many different conversations of where people were and were you still playing ball? How are you playing ball? Was it sneaking around with your buddies trying to just get anywhere you can on a diamond? Because a lot of places were closed off. What was that whole season like?
The start of it was great, man. I think we were 13-4 or 14-3 when the season got banged. So we were starting to click. ACC ball just started. We just finished up winning the series at Wake Forest. We're about to play Notre Dame, and that Thursday is when Coach Mack sat us down, and obviously that's when everybody was saying, "Hey, everything's done." So I remember that night, man. We all got together, and dudes were crying because like Reed and Bobby, our Friday and Saturday guy, they're juniors. They're both projected first round guys,
Right.
so they're out. They're done. They're going to they're getting drafted. They're starting their professional career. And we all were thrilled about that. Like that, it's so sick to me to think that like some of the dudes that I got the honor to share the field with are going to be some of the best players in Major League Baseball. That is awesome to me. And one of the coolest things that like I feel like I can talk to about with my homies around here is like, dude, I love the success that my boys are having from school.
Right.
And it's awesome to follow along and just see them continue to grow. But after everything got canceled, myself, Reed, Bobby, Michael Kirian, Adam Elliott, and Glenn Albanese, the 6 older draft potential pitchers, all stayed in Louisville at our apartment complex. And we had a big old like courtyard thing out in the middle of our apartment complex where we played long toss. We had makeshift weights, man. We'd fill up milk gallons with water and throw them in backpacks and like do lunges and stuff like that just to try and stay in shape, maintain what we could without actually getting in the weight room and getting on the baseball field. But it was a lot of like nights on the patio. You put the music on, you chill with the boys and just kind of kick it. And then you wake up, you run some video games, you go throw for a little bit, and you just do it all over again. Pretty much what everybody else was doing.
Right.
But our coach, one of his biggest messages is prepare to play good baseball. And we didn't know when that was going to be. We didn't know, if it was going to be if there was going to be any minor league ball, if Louisville was going to have any type of practice or anything like that. We just had to stay ready. Just like Prime says, Coach Prime, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. It's the way we were doing it. But it was good to connect with those guys, man. Like COVID sucked, but it brought out, built some great relationships with them and my guys from school that, man, it's the thing about school that sucks is, and leaving for school is you're there and it's a blast. But when you leave, all your homies are out. And I got great friends here. Some of the best friends, dudes who are going to be in my wedding or in Champaign. But I found some cats at Louisville that are going to be in my wedding too. And I don't see them every day. And that part sucks. But that's growing up. That's part of growing up.
Right.
But got to build some great relationships there. And, makeshift stuff. You do what you can. We were hitting golf balls in the courtyard. We were swimming in pools we weren't supposed to be in. Just doing stuff that college dudes do and hanging out and having a blast and just doing what we could to have the time pass by.
Definitely. And getting into it, last one, man, 2021, man, 5.35 ERA. I already saw the look on your face. Not what you wanted at all for your final season. 3-4 win-loss, still not bad. It's still pretty, right above average or right below average. It's something for me going into your final year. And this was kind of how I felt about it right after high school when I was still trying to play ball a little bit is, what's next? And besides the season, because obviously it wasn't the season you wanted it to be. I'm sure you can go on and on about what happened with that. But what was your mentality like? What was your mindset at the end of that year? Was it still, hey, I'm going to try to find a way to go to the show? Because obviously you were a little bit older than everybody else going into their final year. Or was it, I need to find the next thing that I'm good at? For me, it was, I'm going to coach because fuck whatever's out there. not doing that. I'm going to do the sports media stuff. I'm going to coach baseball for high school. I cannot go do a 9 to 5 doing anything else. I'll lose my mind. So going through your mind, what was really transpiring for you?
2021 was kind of a tough year. I was hurt. Not a lot of people know that I got hurt.
Right.
I didn't pitch at all in the fall. I tweaked my flexor tendon in my right arm. I got a PRP shot in November, so I didn't throw a baseball from July until New Year's. And even when I picked up the ball and started my throwing program after that, I wasn't 100%. And dude, believe me, I'm not a dude that's going to make excuses. I went out there and I threw with what I had, but my stuff wasn't the same. You know, when COVID stopped us, I was a dude that could get on the mound and be 92, 94 and command my fastball to both sides of the plate. I could throw any pitch in any count, change up, slider, curveball, fastball, whatever you wanted. And that's what made me effective. So I was a better, the best version of me was those 4 starts of the COVID year. And that's what hurts the most, dude, because I knew I was ready. My arm was healthy. Everything felt great. I was ready to roll. My dream of being a professional athlete was I could taste it. And I had some attention in the draft. I had an opportunity to go, ended up not doing it, wanted to come back to school, see if I can make a little more money the next year, ended up getting hurt. Hindsight's 2020. If I could go back and change it, I probably would have taken it just to say, hey, yeah, I got a chance to go.
And if you don't mind, if you don't have to, if you don't want to, what team was that you were kind of interested in, kind of had those conversations with?
There's a lot of teams that showed interest. The main ones were the Phillies and the Padres. Two awesome organizations. I had great scouts that I talked to from both organizations. And it was a tricky, again, man, really tricky because
the salary and everything that goes into that is so weird.
It is. And I was so like, I could literally just say yes. And my dream was there. I did it. I made it. But it also wasn't that easy to me. I came back to Louisville that year fully expecting us to be in contention for another national championship. We did not have the year we expected to have. A lot of dudes, myself included, first and foremost, had down years. And it just wasn't it wasn't who we were. And that's what sucks. You know, we talk, one of my things that I wanted to be known for was leaving a program better than how I found it. And I part of that has to do with the success of the program, but other parts of that is like being a good teammate and, you know, making sure the dudes that are there after I leave know that, you know, being a leader is important. I was voted team captain twice, which is the highest honor I hold from any athletic stuff. That means more to me than anything else, because the dudes that I ran around with saw that I cared about them and wanted their success to be, you know, the best that it could. And I would do anything to help them do that. But, you know, the injury bug sucked and I tried to pitch through it. I clearly was not the same dude that I was before it, but I haven't talked about it really because I don't want to be known as someone that's going to make an excuse for it. It was my choice. I went out there. I said, yeah, I'm good to go. Let me throw. And gave the best that I could, and it wasn't good enough. And I can sit here as a man and admit that. But, you know, it was still great to experience, you know, go on the road and travel with your boys and you know, play at some of the nicest ballparks in the country and play against some of the best players in the country. Like I played against some dudes, man, guys that are in the show now, you know, dominating. And it's sick to say, hey, I played against this dude. My boys here are like, are you for real? Like it's sick. But yeah, man, it just wasn't the year I expected to have. And after the season was over, I kind of had a feeling that you know, clearly I didn't have the year that was going to get me drafted. So I actually went back and coached at Parkland for a year as the pitching coach. And now I got a big boy job. I'm working in insurance at Country Financial in Champaign, which I love. It's competitive, man. It's sales and it's, you know, pays the bills. I want to stack my bread up and run it up as much as I can. But it's nice to have a job that still allows me to be competitive in that field. And I get my competitive fix big time on the slow pitch softball field, man. We actually just finished up our first tournament. We went 6-0 and won it. I just got back actually tonight. We were in Missouri and we won the first tournament of the year. So
that's what's up, man. That's what's up.
That's right.
I wasn't asked. Before we get you out of here, I wasn't asked to return to my former team. Had a little bit of a rough ending. I actually tore my Achilles in our championship game, which was something. And it was definitely not. I thought the first baseman kicked me in the back of the leg, bro. It was about to be a whole fight. But man, bro, I mean, slow pitch softball is literally the greatest thing in the world. But man, to get back to it, bro, I appreciate you hopping on today, man. It is a blessing to even be able to sit here and have these conversations with you the last few months. We definitely get in that Bears podcast together. I don't care how busy you get, I will find the time.
Dude, I'm in. I love it. Anytime, man. Just let me know.
100%. And real quick, I don't know if you have it on hand, but I love doing it for just anybody who comes on. If you want to pump out your social medias or just anything you got going on with sales or anything or anywhere anyone can find you, you could just, floor is yours, man. Just let everybody know.
Yeah, my Instagram is Luke__Smith15. Give me a follow. Any insurance needs, man, hit me up. I'd be happy to help out, man. But I really do appreciate you having me on here, and it's a good conversation, man. I'll talk sports anytime.
Without a doubt, man. Luke, we appreciate you coming on, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
Again, that was Luke Smith of the Louisville baseball team, man. I mean, one of the best guys you'll ever meet in the world. Without a doubt, one of the best pitchers that I've sat down and really broken down the game with. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys for listening. We'll be back very consistently for Mike on the Mic. Everything Chicago sports and Illinois sports related. It's always a blast. We will be back marketing with the WNBA. We are going to be doing a lot of bigger things this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be back in the Chicago Sky organization, interviewing people like Courtney Williams, Elizabeth Williams. We got all the Williams in the cut, Kalia Copper, Coach James Wade, and so many others. It's going to be a blast being back. Buy your tickets now. The draft is in 8 days. Technically, it's almost 12 in the morning, 7 days. It's going to be a blast to be back in the arena. I hope all you guys can be there. Again, give my guy Luke Smith a big follow. And remember, if you ain't rocking with him, fuck you.